going on, Detroit Lions fans? Welcome back. As you can see, Steve flying solo. I caught Will's episode the other day, man. I just got to give him some shit. Like, it must be nice to be able to record YouTube videos on private yachts like Will was doing the other day. All right, Steve Perkins doesn't have it like that. You know, when we go on vacation, it's pretty more subtle and more laid back. But the Ford family, bear no expenses, man. Just cruising, traveling up north, just living his best life, recording from his own private yacht. Don't let the man fool you. But no, Will's still on vacation, rocking a solo out today. We should be together again tomorrow night for another show when he gets back in town. I was out of town this past weekend for the 4th of July, traveled down to Tennessee to see some family. Just a quick little 2-3 day trip, but we're back at it. Listen, Detroit Lions training camp starts in like a little more than a week. Rookies report on the 8th or the 16th, I believe. And then the rest of the team reports on the 19th. And then we got the Hall of Fame game at the end of the month on July 31st. So it is training camp mode. It is football season just about. We're getting there. We're getting through these dog days of summer. Hopefully the Detroit Tigers are carrying you over like they are for me, getting us ready for football. Hottest team in baseball right now. Having a blast watching those guys play. But we're a Detroit Lions channel, all right? Normally, real quick too, guys, please help us get to that 12,000 subscriber mark. We are dangerously close. We're like 160 some away. Just click that little button. It does us a bigger deal than what you guys know. If you want to become a member, I got some information at the end of this show for you guys who are members on our next giveaway. So stick around and catch that at the end. This isn't going to be a very long episode, but it seems like, I don't want to say all the time, but frequently enough, I see a lot of people stressing or having concerns about the Detroit Lions. And as we're going into training camp, I want to address some of those concerns. I personally, I'm not a negative person. There's some things that I can understand and I can relate to, but I have ultimate faith in Dan Campbell this year that everything's going to be okay with everything that I'm going to address. I think that there's really three main things people are concerned with the most. And I'll start. I think the biggest thing that is concerning most people is the loss of Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, are both of our coordinators, offensive and defensive coordinators, and having Kelvin Shepard and John Morton take over. I kind of think that the offense and having a new coordinator, call me crazy, but I kind of think it's a blessing in disguise. Okay. I know that might not be a popular take. I know people here love Ben Johnson. They love the trickery. They love the creativeness, but I'm a little bit more old school, I guess. I don't need to see trick plays. All right. I've said this before that I kind of want to see John Morton be tricky, more along the lines with his formations and his personnel groupings and creating matchup nightmares more than flea flickers or tackle screens or fumble rooskies or butt fumble plays. I mean, that's cool. It's fun to talk about, but I think a lot of Ben Johnson's slip ups were kind of covered up by some of the trick stuff that he used to do. Like I remember I think it was 2 seasons ago, I did a deep dive into some of the Detroit Lions scoring inept at times, just going through like long hauls of not scoring, mainly in the third quarter, going early into the fourth, just long stretches of not being able to score the football. And, I said at the time that, a couple seasons ago, it seemed like we were just kind of letting teams hang around. Like we would go up like 28-7 and you'd think the game would be over. And then you blink and halfway through the third, it's 28-21 or something like that. We just kind of stopped scoring the football. With John Morton, we've said it all the time. Like, look, this roster is absolutely stacked with Pro Bowlers, all pro players, like some of the best players in the NFL are on the Detroit Lions. If you're not a Detroit Lions fan, I hate to break it to you, but you can just go look at the roster and we can go roster for roster and you can tell me where there's a weakness on offense. So John Morton taking over the keys to a Lamborghini, literally. Just don't wreck the thing. All right, get it on the highway, get it opened up, do a little test drive, see how it's looking. That's what the preseason's for. But I think that this offense is more about the Joes than the X's and O's. And I've said that a million times. I'm not concerned with losing either coordinator. I think our defense has more room to improve. So I can understand why people are a little bit worried about the offense because they've carried the bulk of the bulk of the responsibility when it comes to being dominant. It has been the offensive side of the football. So I think that's where people are mostly concerned is they don't want to see a regression on offense. And I don't either. And I don't think we're going to. Like, I'm not going to list off all the players. Like we have all pros at every single position. Offensive line. Jared Goff was a Pro Bowl caliber player last year. All of our talent surrounding him is nothing but the best. I mean, I'm not worried about the offense. And like I said, I think John Morton is going to call a more consistent football game where it's not so flashy, it's not so misdirected at trying to create some confusion. I think it's going to be straightforward, just line up and punch some people in the mouth and play some football. So again, I understand that there is a concern. I understand where it's coming from, that we don't want to see the offense take a step back, and I don't think we're going to. It's just too good of an offense to take a step back. And I think Dan Campbell might have a little bit more involvement. I think he kind of let Ben Johnson, take the reins and just kind of go off into the sunset and do whatever he wanted offensively. But I do think Dan will be keeping more of an eye on it just to see how it's going. Once he has a little bit more trust in John Morton, I think everything's just going to take off and we're going to be more than fine. So I think that's the biggest concern, is the loss of the coordinators. The second biggest concern, in my opinion, it's nothing even major, but I think that the loss of Lee McNeil is going to be, I think it's going to be a big loss. And I know that we played good with him down the stretch, but the defensive tackle position, we're kind of putting a lot of pressure on Tyleik Williams, in my opinion. But I'm telling you right now, if Tyleik Williams comes out and he plays like a monster, I think there's a lot of us who might even forget about Lee McNeil, and we're just going to pop up one day on Twitter and see, Lee McNeil's window has been activated. He's good to go and start practicing. We're going to be like, oh, shit, yeah, I forgot we didn't have Lee McNeil. I think Tyleik Williams could get that forget factor where we just kind of forget about Lee McNeil in a good way. Lee McNeil is still a massive piece of this team. So if that's the case and Lee McNeil comes back around Thanksgiving time and he starts playing football like he was last year, helping us get after the quarterback and stop the run with Tyleik Williams, with a fully healthy Aiden Hutchinson, with a Marcus Davenport, I think that defensive line is going to be very, very dominant. So I think that that's been another concern for people this whole offseason, is the edge rusher position and who's going to get after it after Aiden Hutchinson, like who's going to be the guy. A valid concern. I get it. And again, I see it. I understand. But I think Aiden Hutchinson is just that good to where he can make a lot of people look really, really I think when you take, let me word this a little differently because I almost said something I would have gotten nailed for. We have elite talent in our secondary. I think Aiden Hutchinson could make them even more elite, if that's even possible, by getting after the passer and making those guys not have to cover as much. He's that good. Hutch is just one of one, man. I think that there's really only one guy like him in the NFL, and it's Aiden Hutchinson. I think that he's the best pass rusher in the league. You can disagree all you want, but that's just my opinion. I think there's some really, really good ones, but I think that most of those guys are at the back end of their career, like the Myles Garretts, the TJ Watt. And I'm not saying that there's not, some good pass rushers out there, but I do think we have the one of one. And I think he's going to make our secondary even more unstoppable. I'm looking at multiple turnovers, multiple interceptions, Kirby Joseph getting a bag, Brian Branch. Like, you got to worry about those guys with 97 blitzing you and rushing you all the time. And then you're bringing back a guy like Lee McNeil. So I understand the concerns, but I think it's a little bit over the top with how some people just drag it out through every episode, talking about, well, our defense is going to struggle because we don't have another Aiden Hutchinson. Not many teams have one Aiden Hutchinson. It's hard for the Detroit Lions to get two of them. But Marcus Davenport could still be really good. So I think that's another concern. Not me, not worried about it. I think the bigger thing is going to be letting Tyleik Williams eat up some very valuable game time and playing time to get Lee McNeil back on the field. The third thing, this is the one that is probably most concerning to me personally. Like, this is the one where I kind of like, man, I just don't know. And I'm just looking at that 2025 NFL schedule. So I think it's an absolute gauntlet. Just, I don't think it's being talked about enough how important it is that our very first two games are against division rivals, one at home, one on the road, at Green Bay to start the season, and then bringing in the Chicago Bears to open up Ford Field. I don't think it's being talked about how big that is. That's two massive games right up front, like back to back. And then you want to follow that up with Baltimore. Like, that's a juggernaut 3 games right there. I'm telling you, if we come out of that 3-game stretch 3-0, I might be looking at Super Bowl people. And then, at the Bengals in week 5, I'll be at that game. Looking forward to it. First Detroit Lions road game. Can't wait. What do we follow that up with? Hey, go visit Patrick Mahomes on Sunday Night Football in Kansas City. I might try to make that one too if my wife will allow it, but I don't know. Tampa Bay, another team that plays us tough. Bye week in week 8. Division game against Minnesota, and then at Washington, a team that knocked us out of the playoffs, at Philly, who just won a Super Bowl. Like, it's a juggernaut of a schedule, guys. We got the Rams on the docket. I mean, the Bears at Chicago to close the season. We'll see how the standings are looking, but that could be a massive game. You know, week 18 in Chicago, probably going to be cold, probably going to be windy, probably not going to be a fun environment to play football in. But I think that schedule is what is concerning me the most. But I understand that's a product being a first place team. You got to play the best. And I think that's what Dan Campbell wants. And then when we get to the playoffs, hey, we've been here before. Our whole 17 games that we played have been playoff caliber teams. So when we get to the playoffs, it's nothing. That's kind of the mindset I'm trying to put myself into instead of being overly concerned about it. I think this is going to be a grind of a season to kind of prepare you for the playoffs. And if that's what you're looking forward to, this is the perfect schedule to have. Tough opponents week in, week out. Even the teams that I didn't mention, like no disrespect to the Steelers, you know, Aaron Rodgers, you know, they're trying to keep that thing alive. I don't know how it's going. The Cowboys, like, they travel well. Do not sell your tickets if you're a Detroit Lions fans to that Cowboys game. If you're going to sell them, come to our Facebook page, sell them on there so that they at least go to a Detroit Lions fan. New York Giants, I don't know. That might be like the layup of the season. I don't know, but I'm still not going to sleep on them. It's the NFL. Anything can happen. And I didn't mention the Browns in week 4. Like, the Browns, say what you want. They suck on offense, but they've always had a good defense under their head coach. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. Kevin Stefanski, I believe. So they're not a pushover either. They play tough defense. If they get some offensive stuff figured out, they could be a real problem. But luckily we play them in the beginning of the season where hopefully things aren't really clicking for them right now. So that's my biggest concern is the schedule. I wanted to address some of the stuff that I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and just throw my 2 cents out there. Look, I'm just a guy in the office talking football. My opinion doesn't mean a whole lot, but that is it for today. I do want to get to some of the member stuff. I saw someone ask a question about when we do members only shows. So I've told you guys this before. We are not putting out a date and a time for when we do a member show anymore. Reason being is when we promote what we're giving away, like I'll tell you, I'll show you right here. We're giving away this signed Aiden Hutchinson helmet. That's going to our Super Den members. I don't like to give a date and a time for when we're doing that because what I'm seeing is, and what Will is seeing too, is a lot of people jump in, they become a member, try to win, and they cancel their membership immediately after because they're just trying to win a one-time thing. And we know that a lot of you guys, you have your heart in the right place. You're trying to help us out and support us. So we just want to have those shows kind of pop up randomly and be able to give it to you guys. I'll give you a hint. Wink, wink. It's probably going to be sometime this week as soon as me and Will can figure out a day to do a live show. Not going to say a date, not going to say a time. If you see us go live, we're probably giving some shit away. So that's when we do our members giveaway shows. If you have a star next to your name, I take a little time out of the day. I go in and I put you all in the wheel. Whoever it lands on, that's the winner. It's that easy. 3 tiers of membership. The basic den, I got a gift card for you guys, a gift card to Rally House. I got a jersey to give away for the loyalty den, and I got that Aiden Hutchinson helmet for the Super Den members. So if you like the memorabilia, if you like the game tickets that we're trying real hard to get our hands on for a fair price, those are going to Super Den members. Jerseys and stuff go to loyalty den, and gift cards and some other little trinkets go to the basic den members. We try to get everyone involved. It's just and we're working on some other stuff too. So we appreciate your guys' patience, but that's how our membership stuff goes from now on. We try to do one giveaway a month if possible. And again, might be this week, might be early next week. So if you're thinking about becoming a member, it is truly appreciated. This is how we give back. It is not required to be a member. Just hitting the subscribe button is very helpful to the channel. Trust me on that. So thank you for watching. Me and Will be back together tomorrow night when he gets home from his lavish lifestyle out there in the northern shores of Michigan, wherever he is. Stick around, hit that like button. We'll be back later with another show.